Okay, let's start with ego suspension. Now, when you first hear that phrase, you might think, okay, get rid of the ego completely.
That's the immediate thought, yeah. Annihilate it.
But Dockery's work says, no, that's not quite it. It's more like putting your ego into hibernation mode,
Hmm.
temporarily.
Yeah, making it dormant. The source uses this great phrase like a control-alt-delete for your self-importance.
Ah, I like that. So you're not killing it.
Nope. Just hitting pause, a sophisticated pause button. Emotional cryogenics is another term used.
Okay, emotional cryogenics. So why? What's the purpose of hitting pause?
Well, the idea is to access what the source calls raw potential, basically operating without that constant,
Inner critic.
exactly, that annoying inner critic that holds us back. And practically, it lets you, as Dockery puts it, examine life's glitches without freaking out about high scores.
So you step back from the panic about performance.
Right. You shift into a more objective, observational state, less anxiety, more seeing what's actually happening.
It's like pausing a program then. The confidence program or the self-doubt program, it's not gone, just offline for a bit.
Precisely. The source even uses a Tamagotchi analogy. You don't kill the pet, you just pause the simulation.
Okay. And there's a technical term for this.
Yes, cognitive resource reallocation through ego suspension. It's about actively shifting your mental energy.
Shifting it from where to where.
Well, instead of the ego gobbling up resources for defense or self-judgment or worry, you redirect that energy. You use it to build what Dockery calls armor.
Armor. Interesting. So the ego itself becomes...
Buildable armoring. That's the surprising part. It's not the enemy, it's potential material.
Okay, so how does this actually work?
Yeah.
Like day-to-day anxiety. Dockery gives an example, right? The job interview.
Perfect example. That feeling, right? The dread, you hear that voice inside. The ego flare.
What if I mess up? What if I look stupid?
That's the one. The insight here is to consciously recognize that voice and pause that program. Just stop on that mental track.
And then what? What happens when you pause it?
You shift. You move into pure observational mode. You're just watching, assessing the situation more objectively.
Like a robot.
Well, the source says like a robot with really good emotional algorithms, but warmer. So still human, but less reactive. You become your own life debugger.
Debugging life. Okay, I like that framing.
Yeah.
Now let's circle back to this armoring idea. It sounds complex. Successive approximation of invulnerability matrices.
Yeah, sounds intense, right? But break it down. Successive approximation just means step by step, little by little.
Building resilience incrementally, like training a muscle.
Exactly like training a muscle. Every time you successfully suspend the ego in a challenging situation, you're not just coping in the moment, you're actually strengthening those mental pathways.
So that phrase, practice makes permanent, is literally true here neurologically.
That's the idea. You're reinforcing those pathways. It's neuroplasticity in action. So over time, criticism that used to sting...
It just rolls off.
Slides off like water right off an uck's back, yeah. But, and this is key, it comes with more consciousness expansion. It's not just about being tougher, it's about growing, becoming more aware.
Okay, that's a powerful concept. So what about creativity? Does pausing the ego help there? Like if you're trying to write or make music without that self-doubt.
Absolutely. The source mentions a case study, actually, a musician.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
Well, they basically stopped worrying about whether their music was good enough or what people would think. They shifted focus entirely.
To what?
To the nuts and bolts, the sound patterns, better flow and resonance, the craft itself, you know, not the ego's judgment about the craft.
That sounds freeing. Really freeing.
It does, doesn't it?
And then there's this other really intriguing phrase Dockery uses, crying theoretically. What on earth does that mean? It's not actual crying, is it?
No, not physical tears. It's more like an internal pressure release valve.
Okay.
Yeah, an emotional pressure release without actual breakdown. Your psyche kind of performs this deep reset. It sheds metaphorical tears, as the source puts it.
To cleanse the mental palate, like hitting refresh emotionally?
Exactly. A way to handle overwhelm without actually getting overwhelmed. A resilience tool.
Okay, but let's say you've done this. You've suspended the ego. You're in observer mode. How do you get back? You don't want to get stuck there, right?
Hey, good question. You need to reboot the ego consciously. The source mentions activation rituals.
Like what?
Could be simple things. Power poses, repeating a mantra. And the expert in the source material, their personal method is, well, pretty memorable.
Go on.
Eating a really spicy pepper.
Laugh slightly. Seriously. A spicy pepper.
Apparently, to get you definitely back in your body, it's about that visceral shock, I guess. grounding you instantly.
Wow. Okay, that would definitely work. A bit extreme maybe, but I see the point. It snaps you back to physical reality.
It does. And look, if you're wondering if this is all just, nice ideas,
Yeah.
there's actually some science starting to back this up.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, early studies showed something like 37% faster problem solving in ego-suspended states.
37%. That's significant.
It is. And they've done fMRI scans too. Brain scans. They show the prefrontal cortex, your brain's command center. It lights up like a Christmas tree during this state.
So real, measurable brain changes are happening.
Actual brain changes, yeah. Neural pathway remodeling and that armoring concept we talked about.
Uh-huh.
The idea is that it might actually be building myelin sheaths, the insulation around your neural pathways, through this kind of focused thinking, this cognitive repetition, but under ego-neutral conditions.
Wow. So there's a potential biological mechanism for getting more resilient this way. It's not just psychological.
Seems that way. Which really reinforces Dockery's big takeaway statement,
Which
is
is
ego is optional.
Ego is optional. That really changes everything, doesn't it? How you relate to yourself.
Completely.
Okay, ego is optional. That's a huge idea to chew on. The idea that we can manage it, that there's biology behind it.
Right.
Wow. But what if all way we understand anything, reality itself, is also shaped by something we barely notice?
You're shifting to the other framework now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's pivot to Dockery's, the paradox of impossible absolutes. This one feels even more mind-bending.
It definitely is. It starts with this idea, what if anything is possible? Sounds great, right? Limitless potential.
Yeah, sounds freeing.
But Dockery says, hold on. If anything is possible, then the concept of anything itself, it paradoxically becomes a limit. How can you define anything if it has no boundaries?
Whoa. Okay, hang on. So the idea of unlimited possibility is itself a limit.
That's the paradox.
Yeah.
And it leads to this deeper point. Maybe limits aren't just constraints. Maybe they're fundamental, essential for us to understand anything at all.
How so? Well, think about it. Without limits, could you have words like full or done or after?
No, I guess not. You need an endpoint, a boundary.
Exactly. Even the concept of completion. How could anything ever be complete if possibilities were truly infinite? Comprehension itself becomes, well, the source is ludicrous. Our brains just need limits to understand stuff.
Okay, I'm starting to see. It's like Dockery uses analogies, right? Like pouring infinity into a teacup.
Yeah, trying to pour infinity into a teacup that keeps disappearing. Or playing a video game level that never finishes. You can't grasp it. You can't make sense of it without some kind of boundary.
So if limits are fundamental, what does that do to those big philosophical questions? Like, who are we?
Well, Dockery suggests that question might become almost obsolete, less relevant.
Really? Obsolete, why?
Because if our understanding is defined by limits, maybe the more important question is, where are we? Because our location, our context is the limit. The source says, no place other than ours exists in the current perceived reality. Our perception is the boundary.
Okay, so where are we defines the limits of our understanding. What about things we don't know, like aliens or dark matter? Aren't those outside our limits?
But Dockery argues that the moment we can name something unknown, like aliens or dark matter, we've already contained it. By naming it, we've put it inside our teacup of limited reality, even just as a placeholder for unknown. True unknown, the source suggests, would be different.
Like what?
Like silence, total void, or resting source emission. Something we literally can't even think about properly because thinking itself requires limits, categories, concepts.
Wow. Okay. It's deep. This reality we perceive then?
Yeah.
It's inherently limited.
Dockery uses this really vivid image. Imagine our whole reality is just a screensaver running on a cosmic computer that's barely keeping up.
Chuckles. A cosmic screensaver.
Yeah. And understanding things is just pressing pause on the pretty colors. It highlights how bounded and temporary our comprehension might be, just a snapshot.
And this explains why basic things work, like math, art, language.
Because of limits.
Exactly. Math. 2 + 2 = 4 works because we agreed to stop counting there. If numbers went on infinitely in all directions.
It'd be meaningless. Soup, as the source says.
Right. Art feels meaningful because a painting has edges, a song has duration. Infinite art, just noise.
And language.
Language only works because words don't mean everything. Tree means tree. It doesn't also mean cloud or sadness. The limit gives it power. It's the definition, the boundary, that creates the meaning.
Precisely. Which leads to maybe the most provocative idea in this whole thing.
Uh-oh.
What's that? That death is the ultimate limit that makes life comprehensible.
Wow. Okay. Say more about that.
Without that final boundary, that endpoint, life wouldn't have a shape. No narrative arc. We'd just be static on an infinite TV channel. No beginning, no middle, no end. How could it have meaning?
So the finitude, the limit of death, is what actually gives life its structure, its potential for meaning.
That's the challenging idea here. It flips our usual perspective on limits.
Okay, so if limits are essential, how do we live with this? Does it mean we should just accept our boundaries and stop asking questions?
Not exactly. Dockery actually points to kids asking why over and over again.
Yeah, and
He says they're accidentally exposing the flaws in our limited system. It's like a microscopic rebellion against the teacup.
Nah, a rebellion against the teacup. I like that.
So the suggestion isn't to stop asking questions. It's maybe to stop teaching answers and start celebrating questions. To embrace the state of not knowing.
Embrace uncertainty.
Yeah, and find joy within the limits. Dockery says the joy comes from dancing in the teacup, knowing it's temporary, leaky, flawed.
Like a firework.
Yeah.
Beautiful because it ends.
Exactly that analogy.
Okay.
The meaning isn't in finding some eternal, absolute truth outside the teacup. Maybe it's in the dance itself, in creating temporary meaning within the limits.
It's like the source says something about Jell-O.
Yeah, pretending the Jell-O has shape while secretly knowing it's just a wiggle.
Offs. Okay.
Our art, our science, our love. They're described as beautiful lies or temporary sculptures in the infinite soup. They're beautiful and meaningful because they're temporary shapes we create.
That feels, yeah, both terrifying and freeing, as the source says. Like realizing the prison walls are made of cotton candy.
Exactly, and the human condition. We nibble the walls while building new ones from the crumbs. Glorious nonsense, that's the phrase.
Glorious nonsense. Okay, I think I need a moment to just sit with that one.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is. So just to recap, we've explored Kay Dockery's ideas.
Yeah.
First, ego suspension. That's the power of pausing the ego.
Right, reallocating mental resources, building that emotional armor consciously.
And then the paradox of impossible absolutes. The idea that limits aren't just restrictions, they're actually what make comprehension possible, what gives shape and meaning to our reality.
Yeah, two really powerful frameworks.
And do you see a connection between them, how they might work together?
I think so, yeah. You could almost see ego suspension as like a practical tool, a way to navigate the glorious nonsense we just talked about.
How so?
Well, if our reality is this limited teacup, ego suspension helps us dance in the teacup more effectively, right? With more ease, more clarity.
Because you're less caught up in the ego's reactions to those limits. Less judgment, less fear about the boundaries.
Exactly. You can engage with the cotton candy walls more consciously, more skillfully, maybe even more joyfully, choosing your perspective within the limits.
Okay, that makes sense. It connects the practical tool with the big cosmic perspective.
I think it does.
Right. Well, this has been definitely a deep dive. So to leave you, our listeners, with something to really chew on, here's a final question from Dockery, building on all this.
Uh-oh, another mind bender.
Probably. Here it is. If you could truly experience infinite reality, just for 1 second, would you do it? Knowing you would become everything, and therefore perhaps nothing.
Wow. Everything and nothing.
Yeah. Would you take that 1 second glimpse? We'll leave that thought with you.